Hi my loves, I hope you are doing well. So today is a little bit of a different video in that I won't be giving you guys any fitness related content. Instead, I wanted to tap into my more accounting finance side to give you some of the mistakes that I made when I was pretty young, when I started to make money, and some of the things that you can avoid because you know what? We don't all deserve to be burnt, okay? Before I jump into the video, please don't forget to subscribe, to like, to comment, to do all of those amazing things. And without further ado, let's get into my 250 and north mistakes that I made. Okay guys, so where do I begin? So basically I have been making money for about, I want to say about 7 years. So I've been working for about 7 years now, and you know, I think I've wisened up a little bit when it comes to money over the years. In the beginning, I don't believe that I made some of the smartest decisions, and I actually just wanted to talk about the biggest money mistake that I made first, so that we can just get into it. Let's just rip off the band-aid and let's just talk about it. This one actually started before I even started working. I used to be a recipient of a bursary. Included in my bursary was this residence money. So if you guys are a little bit lost about what I'm talking about, when you go to university, certain burses can also pay for res, where you're going to be staying. But in my case, because I was staying at home, because the university that I was going to was quite close to home, I then instead got the money that would have been paid into res. At the time, I would say it was around 40,000 Rand per year that I was receiving at for res. And yeah, your girl blew almost all that, actually all of that money, because there are no remnants of that money. I was young, I was a little bit naive with the money, but I also think it's because I really didn't have a plan. And I'd like to emphasize to you guys that even if you have as little as 1,000 Rand a month that you're receiving from your parents or whatever, my suggestion to you is to always have a plan around your money. Have some sort of a budget, because when you have a budget, you know where you are spending your money first and foremost. So you're keeping track of everything, but also you also tend to more likely to have a goal for where you want your money to go. So because I didn't really have a goal and I was just spending my money as and when I pleased, that's how I ended up wasting 120,000 Rand over 4 years. And it kind of really, it definitely hurts my feelings, because if I had been a little bit more disciplined with that money, think about how much more I could have made now. Even if I had saved about half of that money, so 60,000 Rand, and I put that into a money market share account, or even if I just put it into a bank account, or like if I was really smart, I would have gone ahead and invested my money into shares, and it could have grown pretty well. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if the money would have been at least around, 200,000 Rand, maybe even more. So yeah, it really just hurts my feelings when I think about how much money I wasted, just not having a direction. And so my advice to you is, if you get a large sum of money, or even if you get like a consistent amount of money each month, have a budget. Know what is your income, know what your expenses are. And once you start looking at your expenses, you can also start seeing whether there are unnecessary items on your expenses. For instance, there could be subscriptions that you're no longer interested in actually holding anymore. If you have a Showmax account and you have Netflix and you have all of these little subscriptions that are going in Apple iTunes or Spotify, maybe you could consider, reducing those subscriptions, or only using one or none of them at all, especially if you're, like, I don't really need that, So my advice is always just to have a budget. Some of the best budgeting tools that I have been using is 22/7. I know that certain banks also offer a budgeting tool in their little app. For me, because I have several different accounts, accounts from different institutions. I use 22/7 because not only does it give me my net worth by telling me how much money I have in each one of these institutions, but it also lets me know when I'm overspending or on track on my budget. So to have an app like that makes your life super easy. You don't have to spend copious amounts of time trying to track your money. Then another chunk of money that I spent that I look back on and go, why, babe, is when I decided to move to America. So when I moved to America in 2016, I decided that I wanted to live alone, which when I look back now, I'm like, did I really need to live alone? Because for me, I'd already started living with 5 people at home. So it really wasn't such a bad thing for me to live with other people. Granted, everyone's like living arrangements are not necessarily the best, but I could have been a little bit more patient and found a roommate. And I could have saved at least about $500 per month, because when you look at it, because I stayed by myself, I want to say that I paid around $2,000. And if I had like stayed with roommates, say 2 or 3 roommates, I could have potentially only been paying like $1,500. So if you think about it, that's $500 that I have paid extra just to stay by myself. That is about 34,000 Rand. 34,000 Rand that I spent a month, by living alone. And I really think that, when I look back on it now, I could have spent much less, lived with people, shared a few things, and that could have made my bill a little bit easier. So those are the big amounts that I'm just like, oh my gosh, I could easily have racked up to about 250,000 Rand overall. But then also I start to look at some of the small mistakes that I made with regards to my money. Why did I rent out furniture? Like, please explain this to me. So I spent about $200 a month renting out furniture. Yes, the first, like when you move into an apartment, it's not fully furnished at all. Like, it's completely empty. And sure, you're not going to have all these like big ticket items like a couch, like a bed. But I think, I could have just at least used the advance that I got from my employer to buy at least a bed, or just like a bed, or maybe even a sleeper couch. And then saved again month over month to buy some other items in around my apartment, because over the long haul, $200 even over a year is $2,400 that I spent. There is no furniture that is worth $2,400 if I really went out and looked for it. Unless, of course, I went to a really bougie or expensive place somewhere. But for an average apartment, like a studio apartment, I just don't think that I would have spent that kind of money, and a really good couch that you can buy in America would be like a $500 couch, So when I think about the kind of money that I spent just over a year renting furniture, was not necessary. So I'd like to encourage you that even though something looks pretty cheap at the moment, you need to also consider how much it's going to cost you over the long period. Like when I think about the fact that I really wasn't in my apartment, again, to enjoy 3 couches, was it necessary for me to actually rent them out for $200 a month? Probably not. Like if I was staying with roommates and there were like 3 of us and we split this $200 a month, then sure, that makes perfect sense as to why we would go around renting. Because then we also don't have the headache of having to try sell everything. If we decided to move out, the stuff would just be picked up and we'd move on with our lives. Okay, then another thing that I'm just like, why did I spend that kind of money? And this one is it's actually quite difficult to calculate how much money I would have wasted on this. But going out with friends a lot and not really keeping track of how much money I was spending on dinners and, going out for drinks and, takeaways and all of that stuff. I would say that also make sure that you have the kind of friends who really understand your financial burdens and they won't make you feel uncomfortable about the fact that you're unable to, go out. Luckily, my friends are pretty cool like that. They fully understand. I think it was more so that I was a little bit nervous to speak up. But I'm just saying that, you should speak up because, I feel like when you have a lot of like finance related issues, they tend to permeate into mental health issues because then you're feeling very anxious and all of that stuff and you just don't want it to get there. So to avoid any of that drama in your life, I would say that just either learn to speak up or say, no, unfortunately, I can't go out tonight, and it should be fine. A final one that I think, I just want to say, also resulted in me, spending money that I was like, why did I spend that kind of money? It's probably on clothes, and not necessarily with clothes that are super expensive, but more so fast fashion. We live in a world now where we have a lot of like Instagram boutiques. We have a lot of like stores that are out there that are trying to turn over as much fashion as possible. And it looks cute and great for like literally a week. And then the following week, they tell us something else that we need to have. And, because I love clothes and because clothes are a weakness for me, sometimes I kind of would go overboard with buying clothes. And I think it was because I really just wanted to fill a hole when I was buying all those clothes, because sometimes it got really lonely living in America by myself, and, you don't necessarily have family to talk to and laugh with, etc. So, clothes are kind of comforting. I really like clothes, and I also like to look good, because when I look good, I feel good. Unfortunately, when I look back on it now, more than half of those clothes, I don't even know where they are, or they just don't look as good as they used to, and they start to add up. So I would actually recommend that you would rather buy a few basic pieces that are a little bit pricier, but you'd be wearing them over a long period of time. And then when you wash them, they don't get ruined so easily, and have those kind of pieces versus having the kind of pieces that, one or two washes, they're not so great anymore, and you have to kind of replace them, because that ultimately results in you spending a lot more money than you should be. Again, having a budget really does help you in terms of like being aware of your situation and being aware of what it is that you can do and what is it that you can't do. So that is the biggest takeaway that I got from my experience regarding, the money that I wasted. But when I look back on it now, I think I don't really judge myself, because I'd rather have made these mistakes now with, okay, some people might say 250 is a lot of money, but it's rather 250 than 500k. So I've made far better decisions that have yielded a lot more money. So I'm not too sad about the money that I'm still sad about the money I lost, but you kind of have to learn these things as you grow up. And so those are my like financial tips on mistakes that you can avoid, especially when you're starting out as a young professional. Know and understand that there are institutions out there that are trying to chow up your money, so you need to be wise with your money. You need to know where your money is going, and you can account for pretty much every penny. That's really, really important. So guys, let me know with a comment down below if you want any more information regarding like finance tips, saving, investing, all of that. I'm pretty good at that kind of stuff, but I don't know if that's kind of the content that you would like. So please let me know in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe, to like, and all those beautiful, beautiful things. Until next time, my loves, take care of yourself. Bye.